What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of NBA action here on Monday, January 20th, Martin Luther King Day. I'm going to break down every NBA game tonight and look at bets on the side and over-under, and make sure to check that pinned comment throughout the day to see if there are any changes as injury news and player availability is confirmed. In terms of a recap, guys, we're about to recap my life. The last month or so has been absolutely insane. This main channel was going through a ton of drama. It ended up being removed for a while, which was absolutely insane. Big shout out to people in the support group there over at an internal reviews over at YouTube. They checked everything out, saw that there was no wrongdoing. We are back and in action here. Huge shout out to Guy Boston Sports. I know a lot of my viewers also watch his videos. I contacted him as his channel went through something very, very similar not too long ago. He got back to me almost immediately. He's been checking in. I need to get back to him. I've been a little bit delayed in making videos and answering emails and answering comments because my wife and I just had a son. We've got a newborn at home. Today is actually our first day being at home out of the hospital. So very, very excited. Mom was an absolute champ. Stump Jr., an absolute champ as well. 8 pounds, 11 ounces, 22.5 inches long. An absolute monster. So a proud first-time dad over here, hopping on to look at some NBA games with you guys. So do me a huge favor, slam that like button for me to get these videos promoted to more people and to get this channel back up and running after our long break that was not voluntary, I'll tell you that. Thanks to YouTube, though, for getting everything back on the right track. I appreciate it. Also, guys, check out stumpthespread.com. We have a ton of premium content over there right now. It's one of the best values you can find out there. All of our videos are sponsored by them. We've got a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport. We're covering NFL, NBA, NCAA football, UFC, NHL, and NCAA basketball. We've been on a sick run over there the last few days on NCAA basketball. We've been, just absolutely just tons and tons of work goes into those picks. So click the link in the description to head over to stumpthespread.com. If you're not sure if you're interested in a premium package right now, definitely just try us out by signing up for our free email list. That'll get you free picks straight to your inbox. Also updates on our results for our premium picks. So definitely want to look into that at zero cost to you. Also, guys, do me a big favor, comment below any bets you're looking at today. I've got a billion comments to get back to on this channel and on the secondary channel, so I will be diving into those aggressively over the next few days. I answer every single comment, so stay down there in the comments, guys. I am back now. As always, guys, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's dive into our first game on this very exciting Martin Luther King Day slate of NBA games. We've got the Dallas Mavericks going on the road here to take on the Charlotte Hornets. The Mavericks come into this game fresh off a big 106-98 win there over the Oklahoma City Thunder. A huge win there for Dallas, who, obviously hasn't been having the best time lately. Now, it looks like a huge win there on paper, guys, but the Thunder really weren't playing any of their best players in this game. Like SGA didn't play, for example. So, yeah, not their best effort out there. Obviously, no Hartenstein and stuff like that. So, we'll see if Dallas is actually playing better here. I kind of tend to doubt it. I mean, obviously, having Kyrie back for them is a big deal, but I'm not super high on the Mavs at the moment until we see Luka back out there on the floor, and that's going to be a while. Derek Lively II is out for this game. Jaden Hardy is also listed as out, so they're not going to be at full strength here as they go on the road to take on the Charlotte Hornets, who come into this game 10-28 on the season, but they have won their last 2 in a row. Their last time out, they got a crazy 125-123 win there. Yeah, good stuff for LaMelo Ball to help his team get the win. He had 26, and Miles Bridges had 21, so kind of a balanced scoring day. The bad news for the Hornets recently, guys, has been the injury news, and Brandon Miller going to be out now for a while. Other than that, they are healthy, so that's nice, but definitely a big blow to lose. Clearly their second best player on this team, so that is not ideal. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, the Hornets are getting 5.5 points right now. It's trending up towards 6, so you can also find 6s out there. We got a total of 224. Dallas 9-11-1 against spread on the road. They are 10-12 against spread after a win. Charlotte 10-9 against spread at home and 5-3-1 against spread after a win. Guys, I'm going to be siding slightly here towards the Dallas Mavericks. Charlotte's coming off of that big win. We do see Kyrie back there for the Mavs, but overall, this game super early in the day as well. Not one that I have a ton of interest in. So let's let's go ahead and hop over to our second game of the day. We've got the Detroit Pistons going on the road here to take on the Houston Rockets. As we, get into our 1 o'clock game, we're into the afternoon here. This one's not going to be a TNT or True TV game, so unfortunately not really nationally televised. The Pistons, guys, they come into this one fresh off a tough loss to the Suns. They've actually lost 2 in a row now to fall to 21-21 on the season, which, to be honest, is amazing for the Pistons. To see the turnaround they've had this year has been fantastic. In that loss, guys, they really couldn't slow down Kevin Durant there in the second half. He scored 30 of his 36 points in the second half. Detroit's had, some problems on defense. They've been good defensively sometimes too, don't get me wrong, but we saw a pretty mediocre day from Cade out there. 20 points. He was a +5, but he had 4 turnovers. He was only 7 of 26 from the field, 1 of 7 from three-point range. It's very seldom going to result in a win for the Pistons when they shoot only 27.3% from 3. So we'll see if they can bounce back here. Definitely a bounce back spot for them, and they do come into this game fully healthy. I mean, we got Cade, Tim Hardaway Jr., Asar Thompson, Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren, all healthy, all ready to go. Malik Beasley ready to kill off the bench. He's having an amazing season, definitely looking like a very legitimate 6th Man of the Year candidate. So we'll see what they can do here going on the road to take on the Houston Rockets, who are coming off a blowout win there at Portland. So, I mean, it's Portland, so let's not freak out. But we've seen some good stuff from Houston this season. I mean, 28-13, very respectable. They have won 3 out of their last 4, and 7 out of their last 8 overall. So pretty good stuff. They come into this game relatively healthy. We do see Amen Thompson, guys. He's on the injury report right now dealing with a calf issue. He's questionable for this game. So we'll see if he's ready to be out there. But other than that, they are looking very healthy coming into this game. Looking at the numbers, we see that the Rockets are 8-point favorites. We got a total of 222.5. Detroit 13-17-1 against spread on the road. A very good road team. They're also 13-7 against spread after a loss. Houston 11-9 against spread at home. They are 15-11-1 against spread after a win. So how motivated will Houston be for this day game? We'll have to kind of see. They are, a team that runs a little bit hot and cold. They are coming off a blowout win against a team like this. I do expect them to find some success, but Detroit's in such a big bounce back spot, guys. I don't really know if this is a game that's going to go in the pinned comment, but I would say it has a chance. I like the Pistons to keep things close in this game. The Rockets are more of a defensive-minded team. They can look really lost out there on offense occasionally, and I think, Fred VanVleet can have a lot of problems in this game with the size that Detroit can put out there. So give me the Pistons getting 8 points in this game. This one has a chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we're looking at our first kind of marquee game of the day. It will be on TNT. It looks like it's going to be around a 1:30 Central Time tip. We've got the Minnesota Timberwolves going on the road to take on the Memphis Grizzlies. The Timberwolves are fresh off a 124-117 loss against the Cavaliers. They kept things a little bit more competitive than I would have thought in that game, so I guess hats off to them, but they still take the loss, and this team at 22-20 is well below the level that they were hoping to be at. They didn't have any answers out there defensively for Donovan Mitchell. He pretty much did whatever he wanted to do. Anthony Edwards, 9 of 22 from the field, not going to cut it, bud. 16 points for Nas Reed off the bench. That's nice. Dillingham, 12 points off the bench. The bench played okay, I guess. Joe Ingles getting 9 minutes, though, did straight up not look good at all. So that's a little bit depressing to see, old Joe Ingles going out there not having a good time. But, you lost this game despite shooting 40% from three-point range. So Joe Ingles was not the problem. The Timberwolves having all kinds of problems. Dante DiVincenzo listed as out for this game. Rudy Gobert listed as day-to-day. DiVincenzo, with his toe injury is officially out. Gobert is questionable with a right ankle sprain. So we'll see if he plays in this game. I would lean towards thinking he's got a chance, but it is Rudy Gobert, so there's also a very good chance he could end up sitting this thing out. So we'll see what they can do going up against the Grizzlies, a pretty tough team. I mean, 27-15 on the year. They won 3 out of their last 4. We see Ja Morant pretty ticked off. He's not going to be eligible for postseason awards after missing too many games, but that's just the way those new rules work, guys. Everybody that was resting all these games, all you NBA players that were resting, you made this way too big of an issue, and something had to be done. Was this the right answer? I don't honestly know, but something had to be done to address this because it was a huge, huge problem. Memphis coming off of a massive 140-112 blowout win there at the Spurs, so good stuff there. Their last loss was against the Rockets. They've actually lost, out of their last 5 games, 2 of those games have been losses against the Rockets. They also beat the Timberwolves by 2 points at Minnesota, so now they get to play at home in this one. DiVincenzo was the main reason this game was close for Minnesota. He went absolutely nuclear, but yeah, Memphis had a great game there from Jaren Jackson Jr., decent stuff from Desmond Bane. Ja actually had a bad game putting up 12 points. I don't think that's what we see from him. I think we see a big game from Ja in this one. So if you were interested in betting some props today, I think Ja Morant's overs are very much in play because I think he is super tilted about not being eligible for postseason awards. So I think we're going to see a big game there from Ja. Obviously having Gobert out in this matchup against another team that I don't know. Gobert being out maybe isn't the biggest deal in this specific matchup, but DiVincenzo being out definitely hurts this offense. So looking at the numbers here, looking at the Memphis injury report, we do see Ja on there. He's on the injury report. He's dealing with a foot issue. He's questionable for this game. I think he's probably closer to probable than out, but we'll see. I mean, it is a very big game here on Martin Luther King Day. Also, Luke Kennard and Scottie Pippen Jr. getting more minutes, not necessarily a terrible thing. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Grizzlies come into this one. They are up to 5.5-point favorites now with the injury news that's been coming out from Minnesota. So that's been big line movement over the course of the night. Blame my newborn son for this video not getting out early, or we would have definitely been on the Grizzlies -3.5. Now it is up to 5.5. I am leaning a bit towards Memphis still. I think they get the blowout win and cover here at home against the Timberwolves team that really doesn't impress me at this point. Minnesota 12-10 against spread on the road, but only 7-11-1 against spread after a loss. Memphis, guys, they're a great home team. They're 14-6 against spread at home. They are also 15-11 against spread after a win, so that's not a problem at all for them. So yeah, give me the Grizzlies here at -5.5. This definitely has a shot to end up in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Atlanta Hawks going on the road to take on the New York Knicks. The Hawks come into this game playing some of their best basketball of the season. They're 22-19 on the year, fresh off a 119-115 win there over the Boston Celtics at TD Garden. So a big win there. Very, very impressive stuff. Trae Young, a nice game for sure. 28 points. He was only a +3. I'm not going to say he's starting to hog the ball a little bit, but it's starting to get a little bit concerning. But it didn't really matter, guys, because Dyson Daniels played amazing. Also, Trae Young did have double-digit assists in the game, so I'm not casting aspersions upon him. So I love what we saw from him. Okongwu, a big day. Hunter, a big day off the bench. Him being back out there's a huge deal. Jalen Johnson being back, playing 38 minutes, huge deal as well. Just a great, amazing overtime win there for the Atlanta Hawks. So they'll definitely take that. Great game from them. One of their best games of the season. Coming into this one, guys, we see Ricochet marked as out. Jalen Johnson's day-to-day. Trae Young is also day-to-day. So could be a little bit banged up here. Apparently Jalen Johnson is probable with, his continued shoulder issue. Trae Young is also probable. So we're going to see both of them in this game. Is it going to be enough to get them over the top here as they go on the road to take on the New York Knicks, who are in a pretty big bounce back spot, guys? They lost to the Timberwolves by 17 their last time out. Not their best showing at all. They're 27-16 on the year, but they've been having a bleak time lately. I mean, what have they lost? 4, 5, 6 out of their last 9 games? Like, yikes. That is not what you expect to see from this Knicks. A very hot and cold team. They come into this one. We see Hart and Karl-Anthony Towns both on the injury report. Obviously, that's a huge deal. Anytime this team is missing a starter is a huge deal. Yeah, Hart with his neck issue, he's questionable for this game. I'd be pretty surprised if we don't see him suited up for this one. He's a psycho. I expect him to play. Cat with that thumb issue, he's questionable. My problem isn't whether or not he's going to play. It seems like he definitely will play, but how effective is he going to be? I mean, he's been shooting the ball really well, shot the ball well against Detroit in his last game. That was a week ago, though, so I'm a little bit worried about Karl-Anthony Towns in this one. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Knicks are 6.5-point favorites. That was the opening line. It seems like things have pretty much held steady. We've still got them at 6.5. We've got a total of 236. Atlanta 10-12 against spread on the road, 10-11 against spread after a win. The Knicks 10-1 against spread at home, and 9-6 against spread after a loss. So, guys, I'm not super stoked with how the Knicks are playing recently. I'm not super stoked with their bench at all. The Hawks have an amazing bench. I usually want to fade a team coming off of a huge win like they just had against Boston, but I can't do it in this one, guys. Give me the Hawks getting 6.5 points in this one. This is my favorite game that we've gone over so far. This one's definitely going in the pinned comment. I think we see another big day there from Trae Young, and if he doesn't have a big day, this new-ish iteration of the Hawks doesn't matter if he has a big day. Like, they've got dudes coming off the bench that are going to score and score a lot, and I think they'll be just fine even if Trae has kind of a letdown night. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Phoenix Suns going on the road to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Suns come into this one 21-20 on the year. They're fresh off of back-to-back wins, but when those wins are against the Pistons and Wizards, I'm not going to freak out too much. They've been playing, quite a few Eastern Conference teams and having some success, but the going has not been smooth for Phoenix this year. I mean, obviously, you see they're only one game above 500. They have dealt with some injuries, but a 4-point win over the Pistons, a 7-point win over the Wizards. This road trip is not necessarily going amazing, so I'm a little bit concerned about the Suns. I would think they would probably get up for a game like this against one of the best teams in the NBA. They come into this game relatively healthy there. Bradley Beal is on the injury report. Him being moved to the bench, I'm sure you guys have heard all about that, kind of probably not loving life. It doesn't seem like he didn't play in the last 2 games. He was getting some shots up on Sunday, at practice, and it seems like he's headed in the right direction. So it's a possibility that he could be actually back for this game. Unfortunately, even here on game day, we don't have a ton of clarity there on whether or not he's going to be back. So they could definitely use him here as they go on the road to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are 35-6 on the year. They've been playing, very, very well. They did get blown out by the Thunder in the second iteration of what I was hoping was going to be an amazing, little 2-game showdown there between those two teams. But their last time out, they bounced back, got a 7-point win there at the Timberwolves. So a very nice road win. Now they get to go back home for this game. So we'll see what they're able to do at home in terms of their injury report, guys. Very concerning here to see Evan Mobley listed as out. He would have been a big part of them slowing down Kevin Durant, and this is not great to see him out for this game. With that calf issue, he will certainly be unavailable. The rest of the team is good to go, but I am a little bit sketched out by Mobley being out. And the Suns are pretty much healthy in their starting lineup. I know Bradley Beal maybe not playing wouldn't be great, but I don't think that's the end of the world necessarily. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Cavaliers, they opened as 8-point favorites. That has dropped now to 7.5 or 7. And guys, I think we're going to be following that line movement. Looking at the numbers here, it doesn't look amazing for the Suns. Don't get me wrong. They're 8-12 against spread on the road, 4-15-1 against spread after a win. That's an NBA worst record after a win. Cleveland, 14-8 against spread on the road, 23-11 against spread after a win themselves. So all those numbers look amazing, but I'm going to go against those numbers here. I'm following this line movement, and I'm also following the fact that I don't think there's anybody on the Cavaliers that can guard Kevin Durant on the perimeter at all. I also don't think there's anybody that can guard Devin Booker on the perimeter or Bradley Beal on the perimeter if he ends up playing in this game. So give me the Phoenix Suns here getting 7.5 points. I think this is some very, very good value. You can also go against all these numbers, and that feels pretty good too. And the Cavaliers tend to play some closer games against some slightly better teams. Also, I think the Suns and all their, players, their big name players, are going to be trying to show out here, playing in a big game here on Martin Luther King Day. It's not one of the nationally televised ones, so that's maybe not, a guarantee, but I think we see a max effort game from them. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Boston Celtics going on the road to take on the Golden State Warriors. This is our last our last televised game of the day. No primetime slots today, unfortunately, for the NBA, but this nice 4 o'clock in the afternoon game. I'm definitely going to be tuned into this one. Very excited to watch the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors in this one, although the injury situation isn't looking ideal. The Celtics come to this game fresh off a loss. They are 29-13 on the year, but fresh off that loss against the Hawks, a 119-115 loss. Just not a game where they, really seemed to be at their best. Jaylen Brown led Boston with 23 points. We didn't, love what we saw from Tatum. 23 points from him, 24 from Jaylen Brown. As a team, Boston shot only 28.8% from 3. They're going to have games like that, and usually they're going to lose. That's the trade-off of living and dying so aggressively by the 3. But usually things are going to work out for them, so I don't think they're too upset. And they lost that game in overtime. They still very much had their chances despite the jump shots not falling. They do come into this game fully healthy. That's a very big deal for this team. Can't really sustain a ton of injuries there to the starting lineup. They don't quite have the exact same depth. Obviously, bringing guys like Peyton Pritchard off the bench has to feel fantastic, and Horford. So I'm not saying their bench is terrible or anything like that, but they definitely need to stay healthy. So we'll see what they can do here on the road against the Warriors, who have won 2 in a row, taking down the Timberwolves by 1 point and then getting a not super comfortable 8-point win there against the Wizards. At 21-20 on the year, things aren't looking that great. The Warriors still trying to get things figured out, I guess. I don't think that's going to happen with this exact lineup. I think they need to make some big moves, but with Curry and Draymond both coming out and saying they shouldn't make moves to mortgage their future, I guess that's probably not going to happen. So we'll see what goes on down the stretch. Looking at this game, guys, a lot of injuries here for the Warriors. Draymond confirmed out for this game. Steph, questionable right now. He's dealing with that ankle issue. honestly, guys, I think it's a long shot that he plays, and I think it's an even longer shot that if he does play, that he'll, actually be at close to 100%. I kind of just don't think Steph plays in this game, if I'm being honest. Other than that, Pajemski's out, Kuminga's out, so we're going to see a ton of Schroeder at point guard in this game, a ton of Buddy Hield at shooting guard. That's not usually great. It has its moments. He could have a transcendent game, but I don't think that's very likely. Maybe some more Moses Moody minutes would be good. We'll see some Looney minutes. I don't know, guys. I'm not feeling great about the Warriors in this one. They opened. It looked like they were going to be getting 7.5 points. This thing is spiked. The Celtics are all the way up to 10-point favorites in this game. Total here of 224. Boston 8-10 against 8-10-1 against spread on the road. 9-3 against spread after a loss. So a good team looking for a bounce back. The Warriors 9-12 against spread at home, 8-12 against spread after a win. They're not a very good team at home, kind of in general. Just doesn't the Chase Center doesn't have the same je ne sais quoi as we had back in the day at Oracle. So definitely give me the Boston Celtics here at -10. I know it's a lot of points, but I think they're really going to take it to the Warriors here. Boston in a big bounce back spot, and the Warriors playing a bunch of backups, and this is a primetime game. The Celtics will absolutely roll. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Utah Jazz going on the road to take on the New Orleans Pelicans. The Jazz come into this game 10-30 on the year, losers of 5 out of their last 6. They just lost in game 1 of this little 2-game series there at New Orleans. They lost that one 136 to 123. So not a great game there from Utah, obviously. I mean, I guess not the complete disaster, although they were down by 20 after the first quarter. So I'd say that falls into the disaster category. Keontae George had a decent day. So did Colin Sexton. They got to get the young bull out of there. This kid should not be just, living his life in the solitude and just disaster area that is the Utah Jazz right now as they tank this season out. I mean, I think they'll be fine down the stretch, especially if they win the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. But yeah, not looking too hot. Not loving what we see on the Jazz injury report, guys. Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, and John Collins all out. Jordan Clarkson out. Johnny Zhang out as well. So far from full strength here as they continue to just tank things out this season. The Pelicans, they played pretty well in that game. We saw Zion, 24 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks. Like, he was killing it out there. 26 points from CJ McCollum. The Pelicans shot 44% from 3. Like, we really saw, a snapshot of what this team was supposed to look like. Like, imagine those Daniel Tice minutes, those 28 Daniel Tice minutes were Brandon Ingram instead, like, if he wasn't injured. So definitely could have had a lot better year for the New Orleans Pelicans, and it doesn't really feel like they're giving up on this season yet, so we'll see what happens. If we get a nice long run of healthy Zion, this team can make some sort of run at, a play-in spot or something. It's definitely not impossible at this point in the season. The Pelicans come into this one, like I said, winners of 3 out of their last 4. In terms of their injury report, it is a little bit murky still. Dejounte Murray on there, and Zion on there, obviously. Murray, guys, he is probable for this game, so it seems like he's going to play. He's got that elbow thing that continues to go on. Zion is questionable with an illness. You would think this dude would just be determined to play. A non-COVID illness. We'll see. We're probably not going to know until much closer to game time, but you would certainly think this dude would, suit up and try and get out there. But that has been the opposite of his MO over the course of his career. So we'll see what happens. The Pelicans are 11.5-point favorites here with so many players out there for Utah. It's moved it down to 11, actually. So we'll see. The Jazz, they're 13-9 against spread on the road, 14-15 against spread after a loss. The Pelicans, 12-11 against spread at home. So they've actually been a decent home team despite all their struggles this year, and 5-5 against spread after a win. So this isn't a play that I'm in love with. Maybe if I knew Zion was going to play, actually that's not true. If I knew Zion was going to play, I would definitely like the Pelicans here at -11. So if you get some clarity on that later in the day, definitely think about taking the Pelicans. Or if you have some clarity on that now, take them now, because if Zion comes back, this is probably going to go to like 12 at least. So give me the Pelicans here at -11, but not going in the pinned comment until we know about Zion. Last but not least here, guys, we got the Chicago Bulls going on the road to take on the LA Clippers. The Bulls come into this game 18-25 on the year. They're having a rough time, losing 5 in a row. They just lost against the Blazers and Hornets in their last 2 games. Like, that's a pretty big yikes for a team that was looking kind of spunky there a few different times, but that has clearly not continued, guys. They gave up 25 points to Scoot Henderson, maybe his best game in the NBA. I'm not 100% sure, so nice to see Scoot having a good time, but a little bit rough to see the Bulls continuing to struggle. In terms of their injuries for this game, they're pretty healthy. I mean, Lonzo Ball is on the injury report, but he's going to be pretty much always on there as they, continue to monitor his, his injury situation. They want to keep him healthy, but he rested that game against Portland. I think that's makes him very, very likely to be back for this one against the Clippers. So should be a healthy Bulls team, at least here, as they go on the road to take on the Clippers. LA is playing pretty well. They've won their last 4 in a row. They're coming off a win against the Lakers, a win against the Blazers, a win against the Nets, and a win against the Heat. So obviously a lot of those not that impressive, but that win against the Lakers, not a bad one. So got to give the Clippers some credit. 24-17 on the year is not bad at all. Seeing Kawhi come back, didn't really have that one on the bingo card for this season, to be honest, but he's back, and when he's been out there, he's been relatively productive. He, however, will not be out for this one. He's sitting this game out due to rest. It's the second half of a back-to-back here for both of these teams, so not going to see Kawhi out there. Apparently, we are going to see everybody else for the Clippers, so that's a step in the right direction. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, the Clippers are 5.5-point favorites still, I believe, unless that line has moved. Oh, yes, it has maybe moved. Has it moved all the way to 6.5? That seems crazy. No, it's still at 5.5. Okay, cool. And we've got a total here of 225.5. The Bulls, 9-10-1 against spread on the road, 1-6 against the spread on no rest this season. That's an NBA worst record against the spread on no rest. They're also 13-11 against spread after a loss. The Clippers, 15-6 against spread at home. That whole wall thing that they've got going there seems like it's really, really working. They're 3-5 against spread on no rest this season. They are 16-7 against spread after a win. That's the NBA best against spread mark after a win. Guys, feels a little bit mediocre, but not really. I'm not worried about Kawhi being out. I don't know if you guys are, but I'm not. Let's take the Clippers here at -5.5. Seems like very good value to me. I think this should be more like 8, especially with the way the Bulls have been playing lately. It's been very, very bleak. Now they've got to go on the road here into a road environment that's definitely very tough. Give me the Clippers here at -5.5. I think they're in a very good spot. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button, comment down below, do all the things, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is very, very exciting for me to be back here on the main channel. I was hoping to bring you a football video, but due to the birth of my son over the weekend, guys, I've been just a little bit busy. This video was actually supposed to come out last night, but the little guy, it's his first night at home, first night in his new house, so not exactly having the best time of his life, but he did okay. With mom and dad both got a little bit of sleep, so we're relaxing, we're chilling. Things should be okay as we settle into our new sort of rhythm of life here. So thanks for all the congratulations and stuff like that. I am going to get back to all these comments eventually. Guys, I really appreciate every single one of you that's here. We're very excited to be back on the main channel. We're going to try to bring you videos on both channels as often as we can. So check out the secondary channel. There's a link for that down in the description. And we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.